At the chambers, you have to be like right here for it to even hear you. Okay. Oh, I get to hit this. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So I'm calling the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone who's attending, the one person. And let's move to first item, which is roll call.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioner Jim Anderson.
Here.
Commissioner Roger Anderson. Commissioner Joe Clark.
Here.
Commissioner Justin Cummings. Chair Manu Koenig. Vice Chair Rochelle Lather.
Present.
Commissioner Eduardo Montesino.
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Lonnie Faulkner. Alternate Commissioner Kimberly DeSerpa. Alternate Commissioner John Hunt.
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Fred Healy. Vice Chair, we have quorum.
Thank you. So now we will move on to the executive officer's message.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll keep this brief. This is just for full transparency. We've been conducting our meetings through a hybrid approach, meaning members of the public have the option to join us either virtually or in person. For the commissioners and staff, we will be meeting here. Today, we're at the Watsonville City Chambers. For any member of the public that would like to address the commission on an agenda item this morning, they'll have up to 3 minutes. We'll let them know when their time is running up and when their time has expired. For those joining here in person, we have the podium on my right-hand side. For those joining us virtually, you can click on the reactions tab and you can raise your hand there. Or if you're joining via conference call, you can press *9 and that will raise your hand. Madam Chair, that's the only EO update I have for you this morning.
Thank you. Next, we will move on to the adoption of minutes. I understand I could vote on them even though I wasn't there. So,
Correct.
Anyway, is there any discussion? I guess there's no public comment on this among our members.
I'll move approval of the minutes from our last meeting. I'll second.
We have approval and second. Do we do voice roll call? Voice vote?
You can do a voice vote since we have all commissioners in person, so yes.
Okay, so all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Since all are in favor, I know there's no no's. Let's move on to the next item. Oral communication. This is an opportunity for a member of the public to comment on items that are not on today's agenda. Is there anyone here today that wants to speak? Do you have any items that were?
There's no request on Zoom or in person for this item.
Okay. So we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is the public hearings. The first one is the comprehensive sanitation service and sphere review.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll keep this brief. This is a robust report that your staff has been working on for, it seems like forever now. It analyzes the 10 sanitation districts in our county. 8 of them are managed by the county itself. For example, the Santa Cruz County Sanitation District, Freedom Sanitation District, Davenport, CSA 7, CSA 10, et cetera. Because of that, and the report does do a deep dive on the financial health of those agencies, the county has asked for a little bit more time to review and ensure that the data is correct. And because we are in the midst of the counties trying to adopt the budget, their staff time is a little bit limited. So they did request for another extension. I did coordinate with county staff and we agreed that we will definitely present this report at our next scheduled meeting. They just need a little bit more time to review the financial components. So staff is recommending that we postpone action today and defer this to our next regular meeting. And at that point, we will finally see this report. So Madam Chair, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
When is the next scheduled meeting?
That's something that the commission will discuss in this agenda today.
Okay.
It is, as of right now, scheduled for August 24th, I believe, is our next meeting.
That's what I thought. I was hoping it wasn't July.
Yeah, no, there's no July meeting this year.
Okay, do we have any discussion from the board? I'm sorry. This is a board, right? Commission. I'm used to being board president, so sorry about that. Yeah, well, they'll give me more time to deep dive into their information too then, because
Exactly. I actually do appreciate the fact that the county is wanting to take time to actually review it rather than just say, "Yeah, we don't care about this report or the findings." It's the complete opposite. They want to make sure that they had an opportunity to provide input. So when we present it to this commission, you'll know that it's been completely vetted by all the affected agencies.
well, they also know that I know it all, so.
That may affect,
It
that may
can't
be a
be-
factor as well.
Yeah. I appreciate that I have that effect on anybody, but okay. Okay, so then we will,
This does require action from the commission to postpone action until our next regular meeting, but no later than September 3rd of 2025. So that would be staff's recommendation for consideration by this board.
so there's a motion for that.
I'll move recommended action to postpone.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
Opposed?
have a quick question on that. I am on the board for the county, the sanitation district. Do I have to recuse myself from voting?
No, sir. So as a LAFCO commissioner, you have full discretion, but you don't have to.
Thank you. Aye.
Okay, so let's move on to the next item. Meant to have it up here. The next item is service and sphere review for Pajaro Valley Public Cemetery District.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a brief presentation. So as we just talked about, state law requires LAFCO to conduct service and sphere reviews at least every 5 years for all cities and special districts in each county. We have one cemetery district in our county. The last service review was conducted back in August of 2020, so we were due for a new report. So the cemetery district, what's interesting about this one, we only have one in this county, but it actually provides services in both Monterey and Santa Cruz County. It was formed back in 1955. So this report analyzes the history of the agency, the level of service, are they in compliance with state laws, what are areas of improvement. So what I'll do this morning is I'll just provide a summary of the key findings of this cemetery district. As I mentioned, it provides services to portions of Monterey County in the north and as well as the southern portion of Santa Cruz County. They provide services through 5 cemetery districts. All 5 of them are located in Santa Cruz County. Because this special district is located in 2 counties, state law identifies a principal LAFCO, meaning out of the 2 LAFCOs, one needs to be identified as the lead in case there's any boundary changes, sphere updates, or service reviews. So in this case, Santa Cruz County, Santa Cruz LAFCO is the principal LAFCO. That designation is based on assessed value. So because the majority of this district is in Santa Cruz County, via Santa Cruz LAFCO is the principal LAFCO. The third finding is that the district is actually financially stable. In fact, they ended their fiscal years in a surplus in 6 of the last 7. So they're financially stable. So that's really good to see for this cemetery district. One area of improvement is that we did not see any capital improvement plan or strategic plan in place. I think for the continuance of this financial stability and just sustainability in general, it may be beneficial for this district to consider a strategic plan or maybe a succession plan, just something to ensure that they will be have a strong foundation now and in perpetuity. The other finding is that their website, while they do have a website, it does need improvements. This commission has identified 20 benchmarks when it comes to analyzing the transparency of a website. For the cemetery district, they were able to fulfill 7 out of the 20. So that's something that your staff and this commission should recommend that they address those areas when it comes to transparency on their website. We identified what's missing, so we're hoping that the district provides this commission an update in February of 2026. So we give them about like 6 to 8 months to update their website, and we'll bring this back to provide an update to this commission. And finally, the sphere is currently coterminous with its jurisdictional matter, meaning it's the exact same boundary. We were proposing to amend the sphere to include some portions in the Prunedale area in northern Monterey County. As you can see in this map here, Monterey County has 9 cemetery districts. The closest one to us is the Castroville Cemetery District. Their sphere boundary is shown in this pink hash mark. As you can see, there's 2 areas of the Prunedale community that are in neither district sphere. So they're kind of in limbo. So your staff initially was going to recommend amending the sphere to include these areas that are not identified in either district. Since the distribution of this report, Monterey LAFCO did reach out to us and say, before you take any action on the sphere amendment, can we schedule a meeting with representatives from both cemetery districts and both LAFCOs to see whether or not perhaps Castroville Cemetery wants to amend their sphere or annex this area? So your staff is going to tweak our recommendation. And so what you see in the staff report, we're going to keep all the recommendations except the sphere, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So staff is recommending that this commission approve the 2025 Service and Sphere Review for the Pajaro Valley Public Cemetery District, and that the district provide an update to the commission no later than February 4, 2026, coordinate with Monterey LAFCO to analyze possible annexation of the Prunedale community to either cemetery district. And this commission should consider a sphere designation when we bring this back in February. And at that point, we should already have at least one meeting with Monterey LAFCO and as well as Castroville LAFCO to determine which district should be the most logical provider for this area that's currently underserved. And finally, staff is recommending that the commission direct staff to distribute the adopted version of this report should the commission approve this service and sphere review. It seems like a lot, but it's, again, overall, this district is running very well. They have, they're lean and mean. They only have 7 full-time staff members, but based on LAFCO's analysis, they're efficient, they're financially stable, and now we're just talking about their future. So that's something that we want to bring back to this commission in February next year. Madam Chair, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public that want to speak on this matter? Please come up. We won't bite.
There we go.
Sorry, yeah. Good morning. My name is Elizabeth, and I'm the district manager for the Pajaro Valley Public Cemetery. So I'm just here. I know Joe, I've been working with Joe. They just did the review, and so I'm here for any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. It would be very lonely without you.
Thank you for having me, and thank you, Joe, for letting me know about the meeting. And so I'm here to introduce myself, and so just want to say thank you. Do you have any questions? Anybody?
Okay, so, yeah, board members, I mean, sorry, commissioners, what,
Good morning.
Good morning.
You're in an endowment,
Yes,
Carrie? And so you get fees through the endowment part, plus the fees for opening, closing, and burials?
correct,
And then you have a tax base because you're a district?
correct.
Okay.
you have a question? John?
Do you know, it looks like it's about 1,000 acres that we're considering for annexation, and do you know the population basically in those areas?
So good question. And so that's something that Monterey LAFCO also wanted to analyze of how many, are there anybody living in that area? If so, what's the data? And that's something that Santa Cruz LAFCO doesn't have information at this time. So I think it's good that we're pausing the sphere designation until we collect a little bit more information about those areas.
Yeah, my question was, I didn't really see if there was even a cemetery in there. is there an old cemetery or?
No, so
Prunedale?
the Prunedale areas is mostly just residential. So there is no existing or previous cemetery site in those areas as of right now.
Okay.
But one thing that all cemetery districts are facing as an issue is capacity. And it's not just Pajaro Valley, it's kind of a statewide issue of these cemetery districts are starting to run out of space, and what do you do then? So that's why your staff was looking into a sphere amendment to include these areas. And another option is maybe expanding into the northern portion of the county. But that, again, that's something that staff will only recommend if that's the desire of the district. Based on our conversations, it's mostly focusing on the current service area.
I have one other question.
Okay.
So do you require people to be a resident of the district to buy a plot there and be buried
Yes,
there?
they must be a Watsonville resident, or their other option is if they have a close family member buried here, then it could be either like a mom, a dad, a brother, or sister, then they'll pay a non-Watsonville resident fee, and they could get buried here.
Okay,
within
so
the
there's an
district.
additional fee.
Yes.
That's a great idea.
Makes me think about where I will be buried. Okay, any other questions? No? So, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to do staff recommendation.
Motion and a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. We have a motion, and a second. All in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nobody's against, so we'll move on. This might be one of our quickest meetings.
Don't say that.
So now we're on to other business, right?
Correct.
Fire-related project status update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this past year, your staff has been working on a number of fire-related projects. So I think at this point, it was appropriate to give an update to this commission. We go into more details in your staff report, but I just want to, again, summarize the key findings. So for our first fire-related project, CSA 48 reorganization. So as you may recall, this commission completed a countywide fire report back in 2022. That led to a discussion about the financial impact if fire agencies were to annex areas in their sphere. And what's the impact to CSA 48? Because CSA 48 provides fire protection and emergency services to all the areas in the county that are not in a fire district. As of right now, we have 12 fire agencies, so 11 of them are independent fire districts. And so the county is responsible for areas that are not in a fire district. So there is a huge financial impact if the agencies were to hypothetically annex everything in their sphere. As you know, CSA 48 is a funding mechanism. It's considered county fire, but they don't have a fire department. They don't have firefighters. They contract with CAL FIRE to provide services through CSA 48. So if an agency were to annex areas, that would mean less funding being collected for CSA 48. So the question was, after we did this feasibility study that we hired AP Trying to complete, is what if we take CSA 48, which is a dependent special district that's managed by the county, and we convert it into an independent fire district with its own board, its own staff, its own budget, so they are completely out of being dependent on the county. There will be a standalone fire district. That concept got traction from the county and CAL FIRE and LAFCO, and we've been working on a transition plan to see if it actually works. Is it feasible? Is it sustainable? So your staff, in coordination with the county and CAL FIRE, we are working on that transition plan, and we're hoping to present it to the commission later this year. And if all goes according to plan, and this makes sense, the goal is for the Board of Supervisors to consider initiating this reorganization, which would, in essence, dissolve CSA 48 and create this new fire district. Now, there's a lot of components for this endeavor. You know, what's the governance? We're talking about a huge area of the county. Is it going to be a 5-member board, a 7-member board, a 9-member board? What's the financial structure? Is the existing CSA 48 benefit assessments going to continue? Is it going to be modified? So those are the type of questions that are going to be answered in this transition plan. And again, we're hoping to have another robust analysis for the Board of Supervisors and this commission to consider whether or not we should move forward with this transition. So that is something that your staff is working on. Again, we're hoping to present the final version of that plan to this commission by October. And maybe by the early 2026, we actually start this reorganization effort. That is yet to be determined. But I just wanted to give an update to the commission on that project. In addition to that, PV Fire, which is located in the South County, they are in a bind, so to speak. So they attempted to pass a benefit assessment earlier this year that failed. And because of that, they had to reduce their level of service. So historically, they've had at least 3 people on duty. Because that assessment failed, they had to reduce their service area to 2 people on duty, because that's what they could afford right now. The board, the PB Fire board, looked at some governance options, and they determined that what's best for their community is to dissolve themselves and annex their area into CSA 48. So as the county's trying to get out of the fire business, now we have this district that wants to be part of it. So it's expanding CSA 48. So what we've been doing is we did receive the application earlier this year. We're processing as we speak. We're coordinating with the county. But the question is the financial impact to the residents. So as I mentioned, CSA 48 has 2 benefit assessments that the constituents approved in the past. So if we were to annex the PB Fire area into CSA 48, those residents are subject to those 2 benefit assessments. And so we had a community workshop earlier, I believe like a month or 2 ago, and residents were like, how much is it going to cost me? Because if it's $600 under CSA 48, maybe that benefit assessment that we were against might be more affordable. Maybe it's only $200. So that's something that we are analyzing as part of this reorganization. The goal is to have the residents reconsider that as benefit assessment or something very similar like a special tax. So that way, if that passes, then PB Fire stays in operation. If it fails, then we continue with this reorganization effort. But the residents will have the final say of which organization do you want to be under? Your current PB Fire with this new assessment, or are you going to be under CSA 48 with these 2 benefit assessments in place? So that's something that we're coordinating with the county, with CAL FIRE, with PB Fire, and we're hoping to conduct some further educational workshops with the residents to explain to them what's going on, their need to be aware of the situation, and we're hoping to present the reorganization by early 2026. So that's something that's working in parallel to that CSA 48 reorganization I just spoke earlier. So I got 2 more, and then I'll stop with this update. The third thing is the city of Santa Cruz, Central Fire, and Scotts Valley Fire are exploring their options. They see value in sharing services, sharing resources. As you know, Central Fire consolidated with Aptos La Selva back in 2022. So there is value in collaborating. So those 3 fire agencies wanted to see, would it benefit our residents if we were to merge or if we were to have a contract with one another? What are the benefits? Are there cost savings? So they decided to hire an outside consultant to do a feasibility study and see what happens if we were to consider consolidation or mergers or reorganizations. They wanted to first adopt an MOU to make sure that we're all on the same page. This MOU was presented to this commission at our last meeting. That was approved. The city of Santa Cruz presented the MOU. That was approved by them. Scotts Valley and Central decided not to take action. Central actually considered it, but decided not to approve the MOU. There's some misconceptions about this effort. I don't want to speak on behalf of the Central Board, but I believe that there was a uncertainty of maybe they would be obligated to take action on a consolidation, or the fact that they just went through a consolidation with Aptos La Selva. And now we're looking to consolidate again, and this time with a city. That's a municipality. That's completely different than going with another special. So I understand the hesitancy from the board and the reason why they decided not to move forward with the MOU, but I feel that there's value in just analyzing and collecting data. If the 4 agencies decide to move forward with this feasibility study, it does not require them to take action after the fact. If the feasibility study says it makes sense, it's still up to the agencies to determine if they want to move forward. And if the feasibility shows that it doesn't make sense to consolidate with the city or merge with Scotts Valley, at least we have the data. At least we can say we looked at it and it doesn't make sense. But we can't even consider alternatives if we don't have the information. So I'm hoping that we could address Central's concerns and maybe they can reconsider adopting the MOU. I'm going to encourage both Scotts Valley and Central to reconsider taking action. And I'm hoping that we can hire an outside consultant, do this feasibility study, and see what the numbers say, see what the data says, and then go from there. There's no mandatory action for those agencies, but I think it just benefits us to explore that. Because we're talking about these fire updates, this is happening statewide. It is very difficult to operate a fire agency in today's world. That's why we're seeing issues with the fire agencies in our county and throughout the state. So having agencies that are proactive and looking at alternatives, at the very least, have that information in your back pocket if you are another struggling agency. So again, this is something that your staff is going to be encouraging the agencies to continue moving forward. And we're actually scheduled to meet with the agencies later this week. So I'm hoping that our next meeting I'll provide further updates. The last item that I wanted to bring to your attention is I feel the need to provide assistance to Felton Fire. As I mentioned, it's very difficult to operate a fire district in today's world. Felton Fire is struggling for a lack of a better term, in today's world. They had a legacy fire chief leave the organization a couple years ago. There's been some different changes in fire chiefs throughout the years. The Felton Fire did enter an agreement with Ben Lomond Fire, which is their neighbor fire district, for a 2-year agreement that ended after a couple months. So right now, Felton Fire is kind of in a rocky foundation. They're not crumbling. It's not Branson 40. That was a completely different situation. But I think it's appropriate for this commission to conduct a governance options plan, very similar to what we did with the Big Basin Water Company, of just identifying information or options for Felton Fire and just have it all laid out on the table, whether it involves LAFCO or not. I think this is something that would benefit Felton's board and their community to just know what options are out there. And so I'm hoping that this commission directs staff to conduct that analysis and bring it back to this commission at our next meeting. It's a quick turnaround, but I think it's timely. The fact that Felton is currently looking for admin support, I think LAFCO can provide some needed information for them to kind of really decide what their future is going to be. So, Madam Chair, I know that was a lot of information. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but there is staff recommendation to direct staff to continue working with these fire agencies and also to conduct this governance options report for Felton Fire and bring it back to this commission at our next meeting. With that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So it looks like we have some public comment online.
We do. So I will. This is Chief Maxwell from Zayante Fire, so I'm going to ask him to unmute himself.
Good morning, Mr. Serrano. How are you?
Good morning, Chief. Hold on 1 second. We're going to just raise the volume so that way we can hear you. Can you try again?
Good morning, Commissioners. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you.
We're good.
So relative to the recommended actions on item 6A, I, as the fire chief of the Zayante Fire Protection District, are requesting for your consideration for the executive officer to expedite and prioritize the timeframes in the preparation and presentation of the Felton Governance Report due to time criticality, the negative impacts on neighboring agencies, and the risks to public and firefighter safety. I'm available for questions if you have any.
Thank you, Chief.
Are there any other public comments?
I do not see any other requests at this time.
Okay, so we'll bring it to the board, bring it to the commission. Do any commissioners have comments or questions? Okay, John?
I have a question, but if we're addressing the Felton issue, does anyone want to speak to that first? My question is about CSA 48, and much of CSA 48's area is wildlands, and I would assume that with CAL FIRE doing the actual firefighting there, if CSA 48 became its own district, would it be geared towards fireland or wildfire fighting as opposed to structural firefighting? And how does that affect the way they build their organization? I don't know if, I think PV fire is also fairly rural. So we'd be really looking at kind of a rural wildlands district that would probably have different types of equipment and different training than cities.
So very good point. And that's one of the areas that we are analyzing as part of that transition plan is the level service. So as this commission knows, for any boundary change or reorganization, the level of service must remain the same or improve. And so as part of this CSA 48 transition, we're looking at the level of service. In this case, one of the assumptions is CAL FIRE will continue to be the service provider. So that they have that expertise, they have that level of service, so that level of service will not change. And if the district, if it were to come to fruition and be established, if they wanted to make any changes, that would be in the discretion of that hypothetical board. But as of right now, this transition plan is identifying CAL FIRE as a service provider, which I think right now would benefit it because since the county operates CSA 48, it's one of those questions of, so who's in charge? Because typically CAL FIRE is the fire chief, but then you also have county staff who actually manages it. So it's kind of like who's really leading the ship. Converting it into an independent fire district, there's no discrepancy there. We know that CAL FIRE is going to be the staff. They have a clear fire chief in place. So there's benefits there, efficiencies there. We're maximizing the resources. But to answer your question, Commissioner, yes, the level of service is critical, and we're planning to, at minimum, keep it at the status quo.
I see your mic's on. Yes.
Well, I'll just echo what Mr. Serrano said, but they voiced in CSA 48 provided structure, medical, and wildland protection. So they're an all-around agency. And, I would agree with Mr. Maxwell, Chief Maxwell, in expediting the Felton situation wherever they can. As he mentioned, there's a lot of challenges, as you can see through the whole fire community. Felton's never had a parcel tax, for instance, and out of the 3 valley departments, setting Zayante aside, we have the lowest tax rate, and we have the second largest volume of calls, over 900 calls a year. And so that's really challenging for an all-volunteer department. And I don't want to go into all the challenges, but I just appreciate that Joe, he was invited to ad hoc committee meeting and offered some of these services, which we gladly accepted his offer.
Joe, did you have a question?
Yeah, specifically about CSA 48 and CAL FIRE. Does that give them the opportunity to get more funding if it's a special district for CAL FIRE?
Yeah, good question. So that's another area that we're exploring is the financial health of the agency. What's the existing revenue stream? And are there any modifications or additions as part of as an independent fire district? So that's something that we're exploring. I don't have the answer to that yet, but that's something that's an area that we're looking into to see what the revenue source is going to be.
Because if you, in rural Aptos, you'll see a fire truck show up and it has CAL FIRE on it and County of Santa Cruz.
Right, and that's what we've noticed is when it comes to fire protection or emergency services, when people call 911, they're not looking at the patch. They're just like, I just need help from anybody, whoever shows up. And what's interesting with the Valley districts is emergencies, fires don't care about boundaries. So if there's the need, someone's going to show up, and that's kind of one of the beauties about fire districts is that there is, for lack of a better term, like brotherhood. They all coordinate together. But I just find it interesting that once they address an issue, they all go to their separate little corners. And I just find that odd. Is they work well together, but then they have their own independent kind of jurisdictions. So to answer your question, I think when the funding source we're going to look into, but the actual logos or patches, yeah, it's interesting that you can see CAL FIRE and then County Fire. But they all blend together, and LAFCO is all about efficiency. So I don't care who's the service provider. I just want to make sure that the residents are getting the best level of service possible.
Glad to hear that.
Yes, John.
Joe and Francisco, I'd just like to appreciate how well you presented that update and how much is going on here. And I'm wondering, is this straining staff capacity to deal with these 4 fairly large issues in the fire realm with everything else?
Yeah, it's I can't speak on behalf of Francisco, but these projects are time consuming, but we're not overwhelmed. We have a number of other actual applications on file right now that we're working on. So we're really good at juggling and managing the projects. But again, I can't speak on Francisco, but the staff is not feeling strained. The fact that these agencies are looking at LAFCO as a resource and as a partner, I really appreciate that. So to me, I'm like, I enjoy this, but I'm a local government nerd. So to me, I'm like, this is fun. This is fun to be part of a solution. So this is, to answer your question, Commissioner, it's not straining staff. And I'm actually enjoying the fact that we're being part of these discussions and these type of evaluations.
Thank you. I am really impressed at how well you're handling all this. Thanks.
Job security, that's another thing.
So there is a motion on this item
We need a motion, that's correct.
that's needed
I'll make a motion.
and a
Staff
second.
recommendation.
I'll second it.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Then it moves to the next, we move on. It's been approved.
Thank you.
LAFCO meeting schedule. This is the big one. Okay, good.
Yes. So thank you, Madam Chair. I'll keep this brief. So we are scheduled, we go dark every year in July and December. And every now and then we need to cancel meetings. Staff is proposing that we cancel August, and primarily is because our meeting date is around the same time that my wife is scheduled to give birth to our second baby girl. So the last thing I want to do is be in a commission meeting and my wife says, I'm going through labor. So I'm proposing that we cancel the August meeting. This does not conflict with any of our deadlines. And in fact, as we mentioned, of all these other projects that's working on, it gives staff more time to focus on these projects. We're working on this Felton governance study. We're working on this CSA 48 transition plan. We're also dealing with applications that we have on file, Cal LAFCO. So not having to worry about the August meeting will actually help staff. And at the same time, I can be on standby when my wife goes to labor. So staff is recommending that this commission consider canceling the August meeting, and we'll just reconvene at our next meeting on September 3rd. Madam Chair, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any public comments on this?
I don't think my wife's on, so no.
Okay,
There
so,
is a request.
Oh.
So we're going to ask them to unmute themselves. So this is Ray, and I believe she is staff for one of the Board of Supervisors. I'm going to ask her to unmute herself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, so odd to weigh in on the meeting schedule, but the question I have is, it has to do with the timeline of the recommendations for Felton Fire. Since, for example, Chief Maxwell just expressed an interest in having that in an expedited fashion. I'm wondering if there's any chance that that would be, there would be an update for August, in which case, yeah, and how that would interact with the meeting schedule.
Good point. And Chair, I can kind of
Yeah,
comment on
please.
it. Thank you very much. So September, we're in June, and we're talking about a governance options report that's going to have at least, off the top of my head, 6 to 7 options. And those options, I want to identify the pros and cons of each one, summarize them, do any type of financial analysis as part of it. For example, one of the options would be keeping Felton Fire in operation, but there may need a need for a benefit assessment. What assessment should that be? How much do they need to hire a full-time fire chief? So I'm going to work backwards. And so let's hypothetically, maybe they need an additional $1 million. How is that going to be divvied up in a benefit assessment? So that's the type of analysis that we would do for just one option. And so then we'll look at reorganizations, hypothetically. What if it gets dissolved and annexed into Zayante Fire? Again, that's just a hypothetical situation. I want to do an analysis, but also I need to coordinate with Chief Maxwell from Zayante and see if they're willing and capable. So that type of analysis, and the fact that it's 2.5 months from now, that's a quick turnaround for this type of report. That being said, this is a priority for staff. I'm already planning on starting to work on this report now that the commission approved it. But I also need to coordinate with those affected agencies and make sure that what I provided in the report, they are in agreement to it. Or if they don't, I want to have that information in the report, because one of the ideas that I have is I'm going to rank those options. I'm not going to tell Felton, you need to do option 2. I'm just going to say, based on staff's analysis, this option number 1 is most likely to be successful because our coordination with the affected agencies, et cetera. That being said, staff is willing to provide an update to this commission in July, and in August, staff is willing to provide a administrative copy of the report to Felton Fire. I do want to present the final version to this commission, since the commission is the one that directed me to do this report, but we don't have to wait until September to share that information to the affected agencies, should the commission want staff to do that. So I'll defer to the commission if you want staff to expedite this analysis with the condition that we still present it to the commission in September, but maybe share the findings on an earlier date, or provide the commission an update via email. Whatever the commission wants, staff is flexible, but I do think that this report is going to take time, and to me, September is a pretty quick turnaround when it comes to this type of report. But I'll do my best to provide the information as fast as possible.
Thank you, Joe.
And Chair, we do have another question from the public.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask them to unmute themselves.
Looks like it's somebody
Hello,
from the
can you hear
county.
me?
Yes.
Hello? This is Becky Steinbrunner. I was late getting here attending county budget hearings this morning. Can you please tell me, is this the staff report on the fire issue?
We just, Ms. Becky, we just finished that item. We're now in item 6B, which is the cancellation of the August meeting.
Okay, all right, thank you. I had hoped to speak on the fire issue, but I guess I've missed it. There were some things not included in this executive officer's report regarding the fire issue that are quite concerning to me, and I don't know how to get that information to the commission at this point. Can you advise?
Chair, I'll defer to you if you want Becky to finish her comments or to move on.
Okay,
Okay, if
thank
you
you.
can finish your comments. You have 2 minutes?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So this is informational, but I have attended the Pajaro Valley Fire Board meetings and was distressed that their board and their constituents have not been given any information at all about the cost, potential cost of annexing, becoming part of CSA 48. At the April 15th town hall meeting they held, I talked about that, and no one, even Mr. Beaton, who was sitting there from General Services, would speak up about the known costs of CSA 48. There are 2 taxes, and if you have land, your taxes are going to be quite high because they tax the land in CSA 48 2020. My email that I sent subsequently to the Pajaro Valley Fire Board providing them this information was not included in their May board agenda packet, even though it was addressed to the board of directors. I asked at the May 20th meeting why it wasn't there, and Chief Rabani said that it was because I did not ask that it be included in their agenda packet. They are quite concerned that they are being asked to pay $8,000 for an application fee. I suggested they consult and ask LAFCO for financial assistance because there's precedent from that for that with the city of Capitola.
30 more seconds, Ms. Becky.
All right, thank you. The city of Scotts Valley and Central Fire, neither one took action, and I believe that at your last board commission meeting, you were given the impression that that was a done deal, but I want to make it clear they did not take action. So, and they were quite surprised to hear that you had approved money for a feasibility study. I'm probably out of time, but thank you for
Yeah.
letting me speak up now. Thank you.
You're out of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Becky.
Um,
I can,
Is this information going to be in the minutes? Because we've already discussed it.
yes, yes, we can include those comments under that agenda item. That's fine.
And what you summarized about that particular issue, which was discussed already.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's go back to the meeting schedule. I'm not going to be here on that date, so I'm fine with canceling it, but I don't know about, plus I know what it's like. I've had babies. John?
Does staff need direction from the commission to keep anything moving? Do you see anything that will be held up without a motion from the commission right now to approve something that needs to be done?
Specifically, do you mean the August cancellation or staff working on like the Felton report?
Well, for the August cancellation and basically from now till September, if there's anything the commission needs to approve to direct action, or will you be able to continue doing what you need to do?
Yeah, typically staff, continues operations on any LAFCO-related projects. I just like to keep the commission in the loop. And for any items that I feel that I just need to get clear direction from this commission, I just want to be transparent. But I don't want to speak on behalf of the commission, but I think we all agree that there's a sense of urgency when it comes to that Felton analysis, and I get that, and I understand and respect the comments from Ray and Chief Maxwell on the need to get this done sooner rather than later. So if again, I don't think we need official commission action, but if I just can get a consensus that you want staff to work on this, provide the commission an update, but kind of move this along and not wait until September to actually, share and discuss the report and the findings. I'm more than happy to do that and move this item along and provide that important information to the affected agencies.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I see some so it's no commission action is required, but I kind of get a consensus that staff will move this along.
Yeah, please move it
Yeah.
along, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'll move for staff recommendation to cancel the meeting for August. Okay.
Second? I will second, I guess. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So the motion moves to the next one.
Perfect.
educational workshops update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So in addition to all that other work that we discussed, LAFCO staff sees a need of providing educational information to the public and the local agencies. This commission has conducted and hosted educational workshops in the past, and those were well received. As you recalled, a couple of years ago, we hosted educational workshops specifically for the special districts on, how to interpret the Brown Act, how to be an efficient board member. Those were well received. We are now looking into providing these type of events for residents in this county. For example, we just did, we co-hosted a meeting with the county with the private water systems. And we kind of just explained LAFCO's role when it comes to any type of water consolidation involving a private water system and mutual water companies. Because of our relationship with the county and the private water systems, we have been asked to be part of a statewide water group to look at kind of almost being like a spokesperson for the LAFCOs and explaining our role when it comes to water consolidations involving private water systems. So that's something that I'll provide an update to the commission later this year. But again, that just stems from us trying to be proactive and sharing information to those entities. We also want to do something very similar to the road CSAs. As you know, we have 34 road-related CSAs in our county, and some are more efficient than others. And I feel like they need a central hub to share best practices and share how they can solve similar problems. So your staff is coordinating with the County Public Works Department to hold at least one in-person event to explain, here's how to run a road CSA. Here's what the county can and cannot do. Here's how LAFCO can help. Here is the representatives of all the other CSAs. That way they have somewhere to refer to, just like the fire districts have their fire chiefs association meetings, just like the water districts meet regularly. I feel like road CSAs, because they are special districts, should have something similar where they can meet and kind of share ideas and best practices. So I think LAFCO has an opportunity there to lead and kind of be a champion of those type of discussions. There is also, staff has also been invited to present at CSDA's annual conference, which is going to be in Monterey in a couple months from now. Your staff was invited 2 years ago to do a LAFCO 101, and that was well received. So we've been invited once again to kind of dispel the mysteries of LAFCO and the fact that we're not a threat to special districts. In fact, we want them to succeed. We just have a funny way of showing it. So I think your staff has been very successful in kind of articulating how LAFCO can partner with special districts. So we're going to be presenting at the CSDA annual conference. I think those are the only updates I had in the staff report. But long story short, your staff is working on finding other ways to share information, whether it's to the public or to local agencies. We really want to be part of a solution. And sometimes it takes having these workshops or events to let people know who we are and what we can do for them. So with that, Madam Chair, that concludes my presentation. There is no action required, so this is just an informational item.
Do any commissioners have any questions or discussion items? Okay, then we will move on to the next item.
Madam Chair, we do have a request from the public.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about the public.
That's all right. Ms. Becky, you've been asked to be unmuted. Ms. Becky?
Oh, there we go. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you for discussing these public educational opportunities. The LAFCO, by your own bylaws, is required every 2 years to present a public water event, and has not done so since 2018. Mr. Serrano and I have talked about this a number of times. It was called the Connect the Drops, and it fell apart during COVID and has not come back. So we really do need to get this going so that the commission is in compliance with your own bylaws, but also there is a big need for information sharing. The Santa Cruz County Water Advisory Commission when it last met, did have a forum on consolidations with the small water company owners that was very well attended, and there were a lot of questions. Mr. Serrano was there, I was there. That commission is meeting today at 4 o'clock, if you're interested. But we need to have a larger informational forum for the connect the drops, if you will. Regarding the county road CSAs, I'm also in CSA 33, Redwood Drive, that is privately funded for that. And there is, exists now through, I think it's a Resource Conservation District, a private roads news group, sort of an email blog, and it isn't all that active, but that's one forum that does exist now. Having this kind of forum for the road associations would be very beneficial, and to invite the local paving contractors would be excellent, because there have been big problems with bidding procedures, levels that you have to stay under in order. Time is up?
Yes, ma'am.
Time is up.
Okay, well, please proceed with this, and then make sure that the paving contractors are invited. It's sorely needed and has been for a long time. Thank you for doing that good work.
Madam Chair, there's no other requests at this time.
Okay, so now we are at written correspondence. Has any written correspondence been received since our packet was distributed?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Are there any comments from the commissioners or the public, I guess, right?
Yeah, this is an informational item, but there's no agenda, so we can move on to the next one.
Press articles?
Madam Chair, no staff report. This is just articles that we feel are of interest to the commission, but no action is required, just an informational item.
Okay, so we can move on to commissioners' business. This is an opportunity for our commissioners to share something they think would be important to discuss. Seeing no commissioners interested in sharing anything, we will move on to the adjournment. Can I hit the gavel?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
The meeting is adjourned.